Well, I heard the latest about what do you call it, the DHS insider. There's always a DHS insider. You got to name the insider because, this way you can't say who he is. You just got this information. You can't say a damn thing where it came from. But we got the insider right here. Here he is. Turn around, you fucker. Here he is. Here he is. That's the insider, man. He's going to tell you what's going on. So, actually I'm making fun of this crap because, every year I've been hearing about the DHS insider, The sky's going to fall. Everything's going to crash. You better get ready because there's going to be civil unrest. The FEMA camps are coming. They're going to be marching down the street with their jackboots. The army tanks are going to be rolling down the street. Now, I do know there is a problem where they're federalizing the local police, and that's not good. I know that's a fact. I mean, that's not good, okay? I recognize that. But I also want to put something out there that's very practical. You can't eat gold, I got a lot of videos out here on silver and stuff and about the precious metals. I think they're going to do very well. There's going to be a panic into them at one point in time. And, you pretty much know when the panic is really occurring. So if you could buy large ticket items for not that many ounces of silver, that's when the bubble's around the top, or, you've done well. But, is a practical way. If there ever is a crisis, you should stockpile up on food or have some kind of resources in food and not be a worried about it, but, stockpile on food and water. I don't know about this damn story about the DHS insider. I've been hearing this garbage so many times. What I think is going to happen now, I think there is going to be a crash in the stock markets, and I'm going to comment on a couple other things because I'm familiar with a lot of, I work in the accounting and finance field, okay? I mean, I still do, actually. I do YouTube and I do other things. But, it's like, we're probably going to have a stock market crash, I think. They had the 6 Hindenburg Omens out there already. The last time that happened was prior to the 2008 crash of the markets, or 2009 crash, whatever it was. I think the commodities crashed first, which you can see already happened. And then the markets crashed, the equities crashed, right? And, there's nothing really propping them up other than Fed interaction through the big banks and stuff. So, you don't know what the hell the bankers are actually doing. They could be pulling out quietly and leaving the middle class holding a bag with their 401ks and all that other garbage, and they could be getting slaughtered. But if that happens, oh man, you're going to see the truthers out there, the Russia Today and all that kind of crap telling you the sky's falling. DHS is going to come, down and round everybody up. There's going to be civil unrest. They want civil unrest, but I don't think any of it's going to happen. But you could actually have a I'm kind of going on rehashing some of this shit, but you could have a self-fulfilling prophecy if you keep thinking something's going to happen bad all the time. That'll make it happen. But going back to the lessons of Rome, I'll go with that one more time. During the latter stages of the empire, nobody actually knew that Rome was falling over all those centuries. Nobody realized what was happening. There would be a problem, then it would be fixed. Then it would be good times for many decades. Not talking years. And nothing would be going wrong. And there'd be an age of peace for a long period of time and prosperity. And something else would happen. But then something else would be corrected. Nobody really knew the empire was falling. But near the end, actually, when Rome was actually attacked itself, here's a lesson that really always stuck in my mind. Even the most wealthy, they would turn their nose up at the coarsest bread there was, the coarsest bread food, to eat. And they would give up lots of gold for garbage food they would turn their noses up at before. They would never eat in a million years. And, something that's, if there's a real crisis, that's one thing you should have on hand. And actually, I think more than half the people in the United States have less than a 3-day supply of non-perishable food. That's not cool. That's a problem. Because, it's not like I want there to be a crisis. I don't want to worry about a crisis. But, one of these days there's going to be a crisis that happens, and if over half the people have less than 3 days perishable food, there's going to be a lot of problems, and the alternative media is going to come out there and really fan the flames with Russia Today and Abigail and all that other garbage. Now, as far as actually industrial collapse, I can't see this garbage going on. There may be an equities collapse, an industrial collapse. I don't see it. It's kind of strange that, when you're taking the average person, they don't see a lot of things going on. But, I see people that, they might have $10 million or whatever. And, most people who had $10 million, they'd sit on their ass and say, I'm retired, and they're not going to do a damn thing ever again. But, a true entrepreneurs, what they do is they try to gain more money. So you'll see people with maybe $10 or $15 million. They'll look for $60 million venture capital to go into new ventures. And it's risky. They can lose their ass. Maybe they'll have their personal wealth on the line with the bank line and all that kind of stuff. Besides the collateral that's up that they, more than likely that's usually what happens. And they put their whole fortune on the line to gain more. And this is actually why the extreme wealthy, the higher up they go, actually the less they give you, is because they are they look at any person they employ as a resource, basically, and they will, they want to get more out of you than they pay you, even if they pay you a lot of money. If they paid you, $105,000 a year or whatever, they still want to get, $200,000 worth of something out of you in some ways. And there's a lot of crap you got to do to get that kind of money, trust me. But, I don't kind of like that stuff, so I'm kind of winging it here on YouTube or, whatever. And I'm not complaining about AdSense, but, some people say a lot of people are on here for AdSense only. I kind of do this more for fun, But I just want to state that there's a lot of people out there, and, a lot of people don't realize it. And, you can call them the 1%. I don't know if they're the 1%, but they're actually the entrepreneurs that are the backbone behind the real economy. Most people just wouldn't do that type of stuff. They're workaholics and they're risk takers. They get involved in new businesses they've never been involved in their whole life. And they're immersed in it 7 days a week. And they worry about this shit, too. They do. Because their ass is on the line, So, I see a lot of people that are, they've constantly been taking risks. They might have a lot of wealth, but it wasn't easy to come by. And I don't know, I look and I contrast that with these alternative news media outlets about, the collapse is coming. These guys that have the attitude that the collapse is coming, they would have never even been able to have a successful hot dog stand in a million years because of their attitude. It's so negative. It's ridiculous. And what they're selling is fear. And that's why I don't like Abigail with RT and all this other garbage. Can't stand it. So, I don't know what this deal is with the DHS insider. There may be some truth to that stuff. But they've been predicting this garbage every year since day one. I know there's a problem with the federalization of local police. And also I just saw a recent article in Spiegel about the National Security Agency, NSA, intercepting laptops and computers and putting spyware on them and stuff like that. I'm like, God, man. And, you could put, I don't know, it's ridiculous, And actually, these jerks in the NSA, if you're a real terrorist, you're not going to say, like, I'm going to blow up the World Trade Center or something. You're not going to say that. You're going to code word everything. And they'd have to figure out what you're saying. It's like it just wouldn't even happen. The stupid thing is ludicrous. It's like a waste of money practically. You kind of need it, but if you had any terrorist out there, real brains, they're not going to say flat out what they're going to do. They're not going to do that kind of stuff anyway. It's ludicrous. So I don't know what they're looking for. Trying to find out who you voted for or some shit. Who knows, man? Who knows? That kind of bullshit I disagree with to the max. I don't like, excessive, spying on Americans and stuff like that. I don't like that stuff. I don't like this Homeland Security either. I don't like this, Department of Homeland Security. I think it's a bunch of garbage. But, I don't like these truthers either. They're a bunch of shit, too. If the USA was going to collapse, you know, I can't imagine the people I've worked with, you know, having the attitude of these truthers. Oh, it's going to collapse because, you know, every single day you're in business or every week, there's problems like that come up. I almost look at it like there's a difference of 1% one way or the other, and sometimes you got to put in mega hours and be very innovative and resourceful to make it over the wire for the next hurdle. And, you know, a lot of people see the sign on the door, you know, it's up there, this place has been in business so many years. They don't realize how many close calls businesses actually have. They have plenty of close calls, man. I see the inside of a lot of shit, you know. And being an actual semi-workaholic, you know, I've been in this thing where, you know, I was up past midnight, you know, every freaking day for years. And you get immersed in this. You actually got to love it. But, you know, if I was a truther and I had the doom and gloom attitude, you know, you wouldn't even get past stage one. Everything's a risk. Everything's a risk. So if you think you're going to lose, you're going to lose. You know, you guarantee you failure. That's why I don't like these jerks. So anyway, you know, there may be some truth to this DHS stuff. I don't like the Department of Homeland Security. They freaking ought to dismantle it. To tell you the truth. I mean, it's a federalization of the police force. It's unconstitutional as all hell. But, you know, these clowns out here with the truther movement, they're stupid, you know. And I wish I could tell you a lot of juicy stories about shit that goes on. And I wish. I can't freaking blab that kind of information. I kind of obliquely say some stuff, you know. But I can't say stuff like that. I can't say shit like that. I tell you the truth, some of the shit that goes on is crazier than you would see in a movie. That's a fact. I mean, I wish I could say a lot of stuff because it would be pretty damn interesting. But I'd probably get in deep shit, you know. And I don't like betraying people, and I don't like talking about things like that. But I like telling people some of this shit because, you know, there's crap that goes on in the business world that's amazing. And other things, you know. I just can't say a lot of shit. I just can't say a lot of stuff. I can't. I mean, it's just how it is. It don't make me special like I know what's going on. But, you know, my whole game is I apply a lot of simple common sense to a lot of things. And, you know, sometimes when there's a lot of, you know, smoke and mirrors out there and mud, you know, obscuring what the crystal clear picture is, and you keep things and you break it down simple and you break it down into steps, a lot of times you get the answer a lot quicker. You do, you know. And you know, tell you the truth, sometimes you being a jack of all trades helps me a lot in the financial sector because it helps me think in other ways that people are totally just immersed in finance. They just don't think of. They don't think of. You know, it gives me some other things. Now, actually, as far as prepping goes, you know, I had a little, I got a well with a well disconnect, and, you know, I could fire up the generator, and I realized someday my well motor down in the bottom of the well might go out. What I'm going to probably get on it, and I'm probably going to do something on this, actually I got it on order, it's actually a little pool, a real small one. I'm going to make it into like a hot tub jacuzzi thing. You know, with a wood frame around it, pressure treated with seating and stuff that's all enclosed. And I'm going to use that as my emergency water supply if my well ever goes out and I have to, you know, use some emergency water with a bilge pump pumping into the house. You know, at that time, you know, 12-volt bilge pump. Now, things like that are smart to do, you know, and actually you should prep and you should be very practical about it. Because someday there is going to be a catastrophe that's going to happen. You know, not that you dwell on these things, but there's always something that can happen. It's like when you're prepping, it's a form of insurance. That's exactly what it is. You know, it's not something about, you know, you're worrying like Chicken Little, the sky's going to fall every day. When you're prepping, it's a form of insurance. And that's exactly how you should think of it as. And you should be very practical about how you approach things. You know, you shouldn't be hunkered down in your cave all the time and stuff. But, you know, like for instance, if you actually have, you know, access to, storage space. You should get a lot of freeze-dried, canned food and stuff that's good for so long and stuff like that, and stock up on some of these things. I think every American should actually have a lot more food on hand, more than 3 days supply. If there's ever a catastrophic problem somehow, they can keep the government out of stuff. We want to make sure that we, the people, control the government, and the only way you can be that way is to be independent. So, anyway, Putin the cat says, to hell with it. Anyway, I think it's in this guy. I got this other cat down here. I mean, he's Rocky Balboa. He wants to swat me all the time, but he's going to be all right eventually. Eventually, he feels threatened all the time, but it almost reminds me of somebody's survivalist. You don't want to feel too threatened all the time. You want to look at prepping and survivalism as insurance. Be practical about it and go ahead with it. And yeah, stick with the Constitution. I think the DHS is very unconstitutional. And but as far as this DHS insider every freaking year telling you, everything's gonna fall apart, they're all set, the government's all gonna do this, and yeah, so far the guy ain't been right. I think this year the equities are going to crash for many different reasons. There's nothing actually holding up the GDP. If you look at the GDP numbers, yeah, the gross domestic product's been going up every freaking year since the 2009 low. But a lot of that is from government spending and adding additional debt, because government spending is part of the good GDP, and they're doing more government spending by adding more debt. So if you take out the additional government spending, the actual gross domestic product's been going down. And I know a lot of the reasons why this is going down is because it's stupid. And there's a gazillion government regulations out there that really stifle business. But be innovative. That's all I gotta say. I mean, I can't really blab what the freaking cool stuff is, but there's a lot of innovation you need to do to keep and survive in business. And all the people, you talk about the 1% and the wealthy. There's plenty of people, like I said, they didn't even get to their certain marks that they're at, like $2 or $3 million or whatever, without taking a lot of risk and a lot of hard work. Now, as far as like there's some of these guys over in Russia with the billionaires, that stuff is a connected, basically organized crime operation. It's run in connection. It's basically all together with the Russian state and the Russian government. That kind of shit is really like the elite, the oligarchy. That stuff is ridiculous. But as far as in America, the only place that it's kind of like that a little bit is in the banking and financial sector. But other than that, pretty much everybody else takes a lot of risk, and they have to provide a product that's useful to people. And most of the time, no matter what they gain, their whole ass is on the line when they try to gain more. So, I mean, if you had an attitude the sky's going to fall and you're going to fail every time, these guys would have never got to step one in the first place. And I can't stand some of this alternative media. Anyway, over and out. Just want to, and I wish I could tell you some really juicy stories, but I can't, because there's a lot of cool shit that goes on, really.